England World Cup squad will be announced in October, but between now and then there are 3 international breaks. 2 of them include Nations League fixtures in September and in the summer in June, where there are 4 matches for England to play. But in this international break, which is upcoming in March, there are 2 friendlies, and those 2 friendlies are against the Ivory Coast and Switzerland. They're both live on talkSPORT. Marcus Rashford won't be there, and nor will Jadon Sancho. Conor Gallagher keeps his place in the squad. First time call up for Mark Gurhey as well. Congratulations to him. I think maybe some people thought that, and we did yesterday, we were talking about Tyreek Mitchell getting into the squad. Close, but not quite in the first 26, I think it is, for the 2 games over the course of the next couple of weeks. Max Kilman was close as well. I mentioned Jacob Ramsey when we were talking to Gareth yesterday afternoon. He's pushing to get into that midfield. But Harry Maguire is in. No Tamori, no Byrne, no Kyle Walker. That's probably because they're protecting him. He said that they know exactly what Kyle Walker could do. But Harry Maguire has come under a lot of pressure. Martin, should he be in the squad?
I'm absolutely comfortable with Harry Maguire being in the squad. I'm not really comfortable with the amount of criticism that he gets. And if I was in his camp or he was actually my lad, I'd be asking him to toughen up and tell a number of these former players where to go, really, when it comes to
Okay, well, let's
criticism.
listen to Gareth first of all and see what he says about why he's in the squad. And then you can tell us what you would say to those ex-pros that are giving him a hard time. This is Gareth yesterday.
His club situation is very complicated, both in terms of the changes of manager, the style of play, the relationships with the fans. There's a lot he's having to cope with, the captaincy. I don't see any way which we would progress at this point by not including Harry Maguire in a squad, when 6 months ago he was a key part of us getting to a semi-final. He's in the team of the tournament. He's never played poorly for us in an England shirt. He's played exceptionally well for us. So, yeah, that's why it's always difficult when you pick a squad, because you can't just go on club form. There's some positional competition within that, and there's the level that players are capable of. If there's difficulties over a prolonged period of time, then you've got to think a bit differently about that. But I've no reason to believe that if we get Harry in the right structure in our team and get the normal sort of performances that we get from him, that he won't be a very important player for us in the next, leading into Qatar and beyond.
That was Gareth Southgate at the England squad announcement yesterday, and he was talking about the fact that Harry Maguire was integral to his squad, and saying there was a bit more nuance. It's not a 100-metre race. It's not like the first 4 in terms of times get straight into the team, Martin. Actually, sometimes you have to think about character, personality, blend, and someone's class. He thinks that when he gets to the World Cup, he's going to need Harry Maguire, so he's got to look after him. Well,
we've reached a World Cup semi-final, a final of the Euros 22 played last year. So I don't see any reason why Gareth Southgate is getting this wrong. I think he's absolutely right. It's his chance to support the player. I know he's going through a difficult period. I do feel the amount of criticism that's come his way has affected him. There's no doubt in that midweek game in the Champions League, he didn't seem the same player. But certainly in possession, there is a weakness as when people are running at him. And there's a feeling in the stadium that the Man United fans don't really want him there. So it's really difficult for him. And Southgate,
should he be able to handle that, though, bearing in mind he's quite an
experienced
it's a big ask.
International. It's a tough thing for anyone to deal with. He's got to stay strong. He's getting a lot of criticism from former players, and I've just been that.
Is it unfair? I mean, is it unfair criticism? Criticism that's unfair is one thing. Criticism that is legitimate is another. No one should be immune from criticism in the way that they should be solely relying on praise.
Is it respectful? Is it respectful if you're part of his family and you're having to listen to that?
Hold on, Martin. That's got nothing to do with it.
It is.
Praise and criticism are bedfellows, and they sit there in equal measure. If you're getting praise, then you should be able. He's had lots of praise over the years. The praise that brought about an £80 million move from Leicester to Manchester United. So when he gets some criticism, why are we very quick to turn around and say that's unjust and unfair? And if you're his family, you'd be uncomfortable with it.
I'm talking about his reaction to that criticism, and it's a human reaction. That
I'm talking about the criticism itself. Is the criticism unfair?
I think it's a little bit disrespectful, yes. I do feel he is a good player.
But what's respect got to do with it? If his performances aren't at a level and people
because people who have had extremely good careers are lambasting him, taking his career apart, and he's feeling it. He's taking it to heart in his performance. And what he needs to do is, he needs to build a wall around himself, a shield. And Southgate's trying to create that for him. Look, I do feel he's an integral part of his team. Stones is another one who at times doesn't get in the City team. He still gets in the England squad. There are exceptions because they've been together as a group for a while, this England group. and he's building. Southgate trusts him. He's going through a difficult period at the moment. You understand? He spoke about that very well in the interview. I feel that he gets a little bit too much criticism.
But isn't that part of the course? Didn't you get loads of criticism when you put a foot wrong?
Of course.
How did you deal
probably
with it?
Weren't talking about it in as bigger numbers as this. I just feel that maybe the formation should change to protect him, actually. And people are going to say, well, why would you do that? Well, actually, Manchester United are leaking goals for fun.
But that's Manchester United problem. It's not just a Harry Maguire problem, is it?
It is a problem, but he's the team that Maguire plays in. So, like, if he hasn't got a midfield in front of him that wants to shield and protect and just wants to go and try and win games, he's in trouble. He gets isolated far too much.
So why do you think that he should come out and have a go at the media or the pundits for criticising him when we all know that it's more than just
telling you how I would deal with it. I think if I was hearing, this amount of abuse, I'd just tell him where to go.
Martin,
because you've got to draw a line under it.
Martin, you cannot categorise critical observation as abuse. No one's called him an ugly imbecile, have they? They've talked about his performances on the pitch. Now, Gareth Southgate's logic is balanced and pragmatic. And if the argument is, who is Harry Maguire keeping out of the squad that deserves to be in there in place of Harry Maguire, that's a difficult argument to make, because I'm not sitting there going, well, there's a natural person that Maguire and his performances are keeping out, and there's a bias that Gareth Southgate has because of previous performances.
In the last Euros, he was injured before the tournament. We had to wait for him to come back. He's so important to us, and he is important
to us. And the argument from Gareth Southgate is if he knows what he's going to get from Harry Maguire, he doesn't actually even need to play them in his qualifiers. He's already decided he's going to play in the World Cup, because on the basis of Gareth Southgate's selection criteria, that's what you get.
No, he's still going to have to put performance.
He's doing it just to put his arm around him, isn't he? And I actually think it's right that he's in the squad, because I think he is part of the group, and he's been part of the group for a long time, and he's a leader.
But so do I. But we're arguing two different things. We're debating about the reality of being in the England squad, and then Martin's extrapolating that upwards to being the fact that he's getting an amount of criticism which is disrespectful. It's got nothing to do with.
I'm trying to humanise him. Targeted though.
Would you be happy hearing that? You just won an award for this show. By the way, it's your award. If we listen to you,
I'm built of different stuff.
Would you, if you were getting this type of criticism and said you're rubbish, you should never be on the radio? How would you respond to that?
I'm built of different stuff. I'm built of stuff that's.
Well, we need to help. The people behind Harry Maguire need to change how he is. Don't they? Need to help him, support him.
If you believe the best way to deal with criticism and say it's unjust and disrespectful is to bite back at it, then you're doing the very thing that the pundits that are doing it probably want, which is engagement. The only way you overcome criticism is to perform at a level that removes you from the criticism. And then if the criticism still comes, it then becomes about a pundit and agenda. If you're suggesting the pundits have got an agenda, if you think Ferdinand and whoever else and Keane have got an agenda, that's one thing.
I think they might accept it and just say, wow, you know what, wow, he's got a bit of personality.
When David Beckham was castigated after the 1998 World Cup when he got sent off and there were effigies being hung around the country of David Beckham, what did he do? He said nothing. He kept himself under the radar and got back to playing on the pitch.
That was very different. That was a reaction, a one-moment reaction that David Beckham did.
I think it would have been more intense for David Beckham than it is for Harry Maguire right now.
This is about people taking Maguire away over a period of time, criticising constantly.
So you think it's chipping away at his confidence and performance?
I do. It's chipping away at his performance. You can see it now for sure. In the possession of the ball, he's nowhere near the same player he was. He's got to put all that behind him. I'm trying to help him, as Southgate is trying to help him. You know, you listen to what people have to say, but not if it's not helping you.
But if you want leaders,
too much
Mark, if you are a leader, if you want leaders, they must be able to overcome adversity. Otherwise, you don't have a leader.
And I believe
he'll
be able to do that.
Generational leader.
He is not the reason that Manchester United are losing games and not being successful. It's a team collective.
So why?
He's been dug out at the moment because he's the most senior player in the team.
Is that
he's
the reason?
Captain, and the captain of Manchester United
is always that person. Because of his price tag.
It was a lot of money. But I think there's a good player there. I think it's about supporting.
Do you think he's been picked on also because of the formulaic nonsense he trots out after games when there's no emotion in it, and you've criticised that yourself, looked at it and gone, hang on a second, that is just like a script that's being read. That's not someone that's really engaged.
But he's not the only Manchester United player that does that.
That sort of response.
Yeah,
I don't think you get the feeling from him that he's the Manchester United leader, embodies the spirit of that particular football club when he's doing interviews after a game. Now, people can turn around and say, hold on a second, son, put yourself in that situation where you're doing an interview after a game and you've got emotions running through you, you've got control mechanisms in your head and you're trying to say the right thing. We know that. But from my point of view, it's about his performance. It's not. No one's talking about what he did in Greece 2 years ago, what a Berkey was over there. No one's talking about that sort of stuff. They're talking about what's happening on the pitch.
OK, Manchester United fans might want to react to that. England fans as well. 03717 2233 44. Of course, no Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's pulled out of the England squad after being injured. He's not going to play at the weekend.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.